Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Josephine Koh here, and I'm a Bosendorfer concert pianist and music theorist. I've just played for you a passage from the first movement of one of Haydn's piano sonatas. You will notice that a lot of the melodic notes actually do not belong to the chords. If you look at the melody, there are several notes which we would term them as non-harmony notes or unessential notes. But they are essential to the melody to make it more flowing and more interesting, adding movement to otherwise just plain chords and harmonies. Today, in topic 7 of the Practice in Music Theory workbook, I shall cover and discuss non-harmony notes and unessential notes. These notes primarily are known as passing notes, accented passing notes, auxiliary notes, appoggiaturas, anticipation, and changing notes. I'm here at my piano academy, of which we teach diploma piano lessons and advanced music theory. All of my theory books are published by Wells Music Publishers, which instill value in music education. Let us now dwell into topic 7. On page 44, let us look at passing notes. A passing note usually occurs between two harmony notes, connecting them in a stepwise motion. In this example of G major, chord 5B progresses to 1. There is a passing note between, which is C. The note C does not belong to either the harmony of chord 5B nor 1. In the next example, the C appears as an accented passing note, occurring on the second beat. It falls on the strong part of the beat, and thus it is known as an accented passing note. In the next example, in C major, chord 1 has two notes between. The two notes A and B do not belong to chord 1. These are thus known as double passing notes because there are two of them. In the next example of chord 1 progressing to chord 4, from G to A, there is a G sharp. The G sharp occurs between the two chords, but it has an accidental, and thus we call it a chromatic passing note. In the next example, it's another chord, which is 5-7D going to chord 1. Thus, there are several notes to smoothen the movement, becoming like this. The end result is a very smooth progression. On page 45, we look at auxiliary notes. Here, in the key of F major, the chord 1 progresses to a chord 5-7. Thus, from this to this. In 6/8 time, other notes between make things interesting. The B flat and the F. Both notes just decorate the stationary note, A and G. Thus, upper auxiliary and a lower auxiliary. Auxiliary notes can also be chromatic notes, like in the next example. In the key of G major, the chord 1 progresses to chord 5, with a chromatic auxiliary note between. Let us look at changing notes. What are they? Changing notes intend to change the direction of the melodic line. Thus, you could have a changing note that moves by step and then a leap, or a leap, and then a step in the opposite direction. Let's look at this example of C major, chord 1, which progresses to chord 5. It moves like this. The changing note is on the weak beat of the first beat. It leaps from E to A and then G. In the next example of chord 1, from E to C. Perhaps a passing note could have been used between, which is. But in this example, it uses a changing note, which leaps down to B, the leading note going up to C, and thus. In both these examples, the changing notes move from a note, leaping up, and then step down. In the next two examples, we shall look at a changing note that moves by step and then leap. Thus, from chord 1 to chord 5B, there's a changing note that moves by step up and then leaps down. Thus, in the next example, it moves by step down from the E and leaps up to G. Changing notes can be used in succession. Let's look at some examples at the bottom of page 45. In the chord of C major, the decoration of the changing notes become or in the next chord of 1B and as well as this, which progresses from chord 1B to 5. Another non-harmony note is the appoggiatura. The appoggiatura is also known as a leaning note. It leans into the next harmony by step. Here we have chord 2B, going to chord 5. There is a note between, which is C. It is like an accented passing note. In this case, because the notes move by step downwards. But because it occurs on the strong beat, it can also be called an appoggiatura. The next example illustrates this more clearly from the chord of chord 5 going to chord 6. In this case, there is an appoggiatura between the G and the C. The B note leans towards C. Thus, notice that all non-harmony notes create dissonances with the chords that they are played with. The next harmony note is known as anticipation. This note normally occurs at the end of a phrase at the cadence. It enunciates itself just before the next chord which it belongs to, such as chord 5 going to 1, the anticipation being I shall play the next two passages which indicates the use of non-harmony notes by Bach and Mozart. Here is the example in A major. Now I shall discuss about harmonic rhythm. Harmonic rhythm refers to the frequency of which chords change. Do they change every crotchet beat? Or do they change every meaning beat, whether the harmonic rhythm is regular or irregular? Let us look at page 47. In the first example, it is from Bach's chorale in D minor. It has a consistent crotchet beat for the harmonic rhythm. Here it goes. Notice that there are no passing notes or non-harmonic notes in this harmonization of the chorale. In the next example, we shall see a series of chordal harmonies by Mendelssohn, of which the harmonic rhythm is irregular. Passages can be florid, like the one I played for you at the start of this session by Haydn. Let's look at another one, in D minor. I hope you can try out the exercises on page 48. You may wish to indicate the harmonic rhythm with arrows just to show the beats of the harmonies, at the same time circling the non-harmony notes and identify them. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel below. I look forward to see you again in the next topic.